This is going to be a fun session. So we're going to start off with logical conditions. We're going to go into if statements, if else statements, if else statements. And if we have time, we're going to extend into some Boolean operators. So today's agenda. We're going to just start off with a little bit of study group progress. Then we're going to launch into a live coding session. We'll do a brief review refresher, and then we'll go into our logical conditions, our if else statements. We'll put it all together, and then again, if we have a moment, if we have some time at the end, we will go over some Boolean operators. All right, so welcome to the study group. If this is your first time, or even if it's not your first time, I just want to reiterate that whether you're new to the Python language, programming, or computer science, or if you're just here for a refresher, you are welcome. We're so happy to have you here. So during this study group, we're going to actively code together in real time. We're going to move at a slow and steady pace to absorb the material. We're going to encourage others as we learn in a safe and comfortable environment. And I hope that we are going to have lots of fun. I picked some fun examples this time. Well, I pick fun examples every time, but I picked some fun examples. So really excited to go through that with you. So we're going to focus on learning the essentials of Python programming. Here's our content roadmap. We are currently in session 3. As you can see, so we are at the halfway point for our content, and we are soon going to be starting those collaborative sessions where we're going to continue on with some of these concepts and expanding them, but we're going to also cover additional concepts such as using a Python library, recursive functions, text files, and we are going to be starting that very soon. So our content sessions, that's what you're joining us for today. Those are Thursdays at 8 p.m. And we are currently right here. And we're going to have 2 more sessions. We have 2 more sessions left. If you're already registered for today's session, you're automatically registered for those 5. Now, collaborative sessions are a little bit different. So when I say collaborative sessions, how we're going to be doing it, it's going to be very, very interactive. So we're going to be working in groups and collaboratively trying to solve a coding challenge. So Shermaine and I are very excited about that. We're starting Sunday, August 22nd at 11 a.m. We hope that you can join us. Just an FYI that the 26th one is likely going to be rescheduled. So we'll be getting that information out as well. So just so everyone knows, registration is going to be limited and a separate link for each session. You'll have to sign up for each one separately just because they're very interactive. We want to make sure everybody has an opportunity. And if you attend content sessions, you're going to receive registration links early. So Arsha, those 2 early registration links that I mentioned this morning for you, could you please post those in the chat for everyone? So Arsha's going to be posting the session 1 on August 22nd again, just in case anybody wasn't here last time. And she's also going to be posting the September 5th session. So our goal is that we're going to continue to post more links, like 1 link every week. So Arsha, were you able to find that okay? Oh, yep, she's got it in here. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, thank you. So feel free, like I said, registration will be limited for those, but you guys are all getting this first today. So Shermaine, was there anything that you want to add on to the first session? You're all set. Okay. We're going to have a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to it. And I know Shermaine is as well. All right. So now time for live coding. So Arsha, could you please post the collab link that is in the sheet I gave you? And so everyone, we're going to be using Google Colab notebooks today. You can instead use either your favorite IDE or code editor. If you already have Python 3 and that IDE or code code editor installed on your computer, just because of the amount of time it takes to do those installs. So some of the popular ones are Visual Studio Code, PyCharm, Anaconda, Atom, and Sublime. All right, so I'm going to switch over as well. So as everyone, as you're getting the Colab open, make sure that you click File and save a copy in Drive. So for me, it opens it in another tab. Yeah, hold on, everyone, just a moment. The link got cut off. So that should work. So be sure to give me either a B or a thumbs up emoji in the chat when you have this open and you have a copy all ready to go. Awesome, awesome. I'll give everyone just another moment. I see someone has raised your hand. If you could pop your question either in the Q&A or the chat, we will be sure to help you out. For those who are having trouble, could you be sure to click the link that I just posted and let me know if that works? Okay, perfect. All right, so while everyone's getting settled, I'm just gonna start talking through this next phase, if that's okay. All right, session 3. We're going to start off with a review refresher. I'm going to go through this kind of quickly. I know a lot of you have attended sessions already, so we want to be sure to save as much time as possible for the if-else statements. So comments are great with our code. So they help us communicate the purpose of our code. They're hidden. They do not execute or print out to the user when our code runs. And we start those off with a hashtag. This is an example of a comment. So print function will print or show data to the user. This is how we write. This is the basic form of a print function, and we place data between the parentheses. Strings. Strings are a series of characters, which it can include numbers, letters, special characters. We start them with single quotes, double quotes, or triple single quotes. Variables are pieces of memory that store data. When code runs into a variable, Python retrieves the value assigned to the variable for the function or task being executed. We create a variable using an equal sign to assign a value. The equal sign is known as an assignment operator. So some more data types. Strings was one example of a data type. We also have integers. Integers are whole numbers with no decimal points. They can be positive or negative. Floating point numbers, also known as float or floats, are numbers that have decimal points, and those can also be positive or negative. Functions are blocks of code that run when called. Functions perform specific tasks. We learn about several built-in functions, such as the print function, length, string, type, and we explored those a lot in the first and second sessions. To define our own functions, we begin with the DEF keyword, followed by a function name, then 2 parentheses and a colon. Function names can be a word or several words that are separated by underscores, and we call this snake case. And also, as a reminder, because we will be facing this a lot with our if-else statements, that indentation is extremely important in Python, and always make sure the next line below a Sorry, always make sure the next line is indented. So this was an example that we covered. We defined a function called main, and you can see the parentheses, the colon, and then we just printed hello world. This next part tells Python which function to start with, which is going to become important once we get to session 5. And the main calls the function. We also have learned about input functions, which asks the user to provide information. The input function is written like input parentheses and parentheses. Note that input functions automatically convert our inputted values as strings. So if we input an integer or a float, it's going to convert it to a string. So if you would like, you can go ahead and click that run button. This is an example that we did. Also, Collab just takes a moment to connect when you first click that run button. So no worries if it takes a moment. So in this first one, we created a variable, we called it name, and then we set it equal to an input function that asks, what is your name? And then we're going to print the variable, just what we're inputting here. And then we also did some concatenation where we did hi plus name plus exclamation point. So feel free to put your name in there and hit enter. And you can see the first one, it just printed out the input, and the second one, it printed out this concatenated. Awesome. Then we learned about constructor functions. So this is when we use like string, integer, float, constructor function to actually construct a string, integer, float type, and this is called casting. So in this first example, we set the variable a equal to a float. And then here we did print and then int, and then we put the a variable in there to convert or construct the a variable from 3.14, and then it changed it from a float to an integer. And then in this next example, we did cats equals 100, which is an integer. And then we constructed a float by using float parentheses and putting cats there. And you can see that it constructed cats to 100.0. So it is now a float. Okay, so we've completed our review. Can everyone let me know in the chat how we're doing? Give me a thumbs up if we're doing well. And if any of these concepts were new to you, don't worry. Some of the videos will be posted on the Slack channel, and you can rewatch those videos and ask any questions at that point. So please feel free to post any questions you have in the Q&A right now, and Karen and Shermaine will be happy to answer them for you. Okay, so it seems like we're good to move forward. Okay. All right, so before we launch into if-else statements and just dive in, we're going to start actually by learning about logical conditions. So with logical conditions, we compare two values. So for example, we're comparing the value that's within a variable X versus Y. Python evaluates whether the condition is true or false. With an if-else statement, Python will take the result, so the true or the false, and then proceed with performing whatever action the program asks it to do. So here's a list of logical conditions. We have a double equal sign, so that's equal to. We have an exclamation point equal sign for not equal to. We have less than, greater than. We have less than or equal to, and greater than or equal to. So one important thing to note here is that the double equal signs is used specifically for the logical condition. So in session 1, in all of our other sessions so far, we have used a single equal sign to assign values to variables. So if we were creating a variable called A and we used one equal sign and then put a string here, that is going to assign a value to our variable. However, what we're doing now is we're comparing two pieces of information, and we need to be sure to use that double equal sign. So we're going to do a few examples together, and please feel free to help me out in the chat and let me know before we hit run what you think is going to happen. So in this first one, we have 7 less than or equal to 3. Do you think that's going to print out true or false? Let me know in the chat. Okay, everyone's saying false. So we've run that and it's false. That's correct, because 7 is greater than 3. So this next one, we have a string called hello, and this means is not equal to hello. Do we think that one's going to be true or false? Okay, everyone's saying true. Most people are saying true. I'm seeing some mixed answers, so we're going to run that. And it's true. So here we have a string. This one has a lowercase h. This one over here has an uppercase h. So they are not equal to each other. So this is saying this string is not equal to this string, and that is true. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, great. So this next example, we have 1 plus 3, the double equal sign, because we're doing equal to, and then 4. Do we think that one's going to be true or false? Okay, most of you are saying false. So we're going to go ahead and run that one. And it is indeed false. And the reason is because we have an integer plus an integer, and then we did double equal sign string. So that is false, because if it was 1 plus 3 equals double equal sign 4, they're all integers, so that would be true, but the integer 4 does not equal the string 4. So you get a false there. So this last one, we have that int, and then we have 4.0 equal 4. Is that one true or false? Okay, I'm seeing true, true. Okay, awesome. And that one is in fact true, because we're taking the float 4.0 and then we're constructing an integer. So that integer would be 4. And then here we are, the integer 4. So integer 4 equals integer 4. Perfect. Okay. So we're going to launch into our if statements. So if statements evaluate whether a condition is true or false, then performs an action if the condition evaluates to true. If statements are written with the if statements are written with the if keyword followed by a condition and a colon. The code we want to execute if the condition is true is indented underneath it. So we have the keyword if, and then we're looking at what condition we're evaluating. And then there's a colon. Then you can see the next line of code is indented, just like we did with our functions. We're always indenting if something falls underneath it. And then we're going to execute this code. So to give an example, I wrote pseudocode, and pseudocode is very helpful in determining how to determining, like, it's very helpful in helping us to figure out like what our code needs to look like in its final form. It helps us to do our thought process. It's like writing a first draft or a bullet point list or something, where you want a better understanding of what your code, what do you want your code to do and how does it look. So in this example, we did the if keyword, and then your cat is hungry is the condition. So if your cat is hungry, feed her. So like say we had a virtual game and somebody needed to take care of the virtual cat, it would be evaluating, hey, is the cat hungry? If it is hungry, the user should know that we need to feed the cat. So here's the code written out a little bit. So in this example, the condition evaluates whether the cat is hungry or not. If the condition evaluates to true, then a print statement will direct the user to feed the cat. So here we have if, and then we set a variable kitty cat, double equal sign, hungry, print, your cat is hungry, please feed her. So here's that same code again. So run the code. It says, if the condition evaluates to true, the statement will print, otherwise nothing will print. So we can just, even if we just added something in here or removed a letter and ran it, we can see that nothing shows up. So we're going to get to that a little bit later as well. So in this example, we set a variable kitty cat equal to the string hungry. We evaluated if the kitty cat is hungry, then we'll print, your cat is hungry, please feed her. And so that prints out here because the cat is hungry. So how's everyone doing? Can I get thumbs up if everyone's following along okay? Awesome. And again, if you have any questions, please be sure to post them to the Q&A session, and our team is answering them for you. Yay, Karen and Shermaine. Okay. All right, let's practice a couple of examples. So in this first one, this is similar to some of the things we've already done, but a little bit different. So we're going to create a variable called name, and then we'll assign a string value to it. So you can put your name or your friend's name or cat's name or whatever you would like. And then we're going to write an if statement that prints hello message to the user if the names match. So in this example, here's the variable. I set it to a string value Stephanie. Then I did the if keyword, if the name double equal sign, whoops, sorry about that. Double equal sign Stephanie, is that same string value, then print hi Stephanie. So I'm going to run that. And you can see that because the condition matches what we wanted, we were able to print that out successfully. So we're going to practice one together. So start off by naming your variable name. Use a single equal sign because we're assigning a value to a variable. Then do a string value. It can be your name or whatever, or somebody else's name. Then you're going to go to the next line, type if name double equal sign. Do that name again, colon. And now when I hit enter in Colab, and you'll also find this happens in a lot of your code editors and IDEs, it automatically indents for you. It's saying, okay, this is an if statement, so I'm going to do that indentation for you. And so just make sure that it is indented, and then do print parentheses hi Stephanie, or whatever name you chose. Now it's only so fun if I use my name, so feel free, let me know in the chat if you would like your name mentioned instead, and I'll replace them out, whoever's first. What name should I put here? Let me know in the chat. Whoever's first. Anyone? Someone wants their dog mentioned. Okay, so we'll do Sir Harold. That is so cute. And we will say hi to the dog. Okay, I forgot an exclamation point. There we go. Hi, Sir Harold. Very nice. Okay. Okay, so in this next example, we're going to create a variable called favorite food, and we'll set it equal to whatever our favorite food is as a string value. Then we'll do if favorite food equals whatever that same value is, then we'll print your favorite food is. So I'm going to type favorite underscore food to equal. I'm going to do pasta this time. Then go to the next line. If favorite food equal pasta, colon. Then we'll do print your favorite food is pasta. Now, if we did that correctly, it should print that print statement for us, and it does. I think I'm making everyone hungry. Wait till I get to one of the examples later. We're all going to be hungry. Okay, so let me know, give me a thumbs up if everyone is good with if statements. Yes. You guys are great. Everyone's so great. Great work so far. Okay, now we're gonna add an element here. So it's gonna get a little bit interesting. So if statements evaluate whether a condition is true or false, then executes the code if the condition evaluates to true. If the condition evaluates to false, Python then executes the code underneath the else statement. So in the first example, we just did an if statement, and either it was true or false. If it was true, then it executed the code. If it was false, it just did nothing. So in the else example, we're going to have it do something else if that condition is false. So basically, if statements are written, as we know, with that if keyword, then the condition and the colon. And the else, we write it just like this, with the word else and a colon immediately preceding that. And then we execute another line of code under that. So we'll go through an example. So if our example is, if your cat is hungry, feed her now. But if that condition ends up being false, if your cat is not hungry right now, instead the code's going to go here to this else statement, and then it's going to print out or have some action that says feed her later. So here it is in kind of a code format with that same variable kitty cat. So if kitty cat equals hungry, print your cat is hungry, please feed her now. Else print your cat is not hungry right now, please feed her later. So let's run that code. So in this example, I set the kitty cat variable equal to hungry. And you can see that because I did that, the condition was true and it printed out that first statement. Now, if we did something, you can just add a space in there or whatever you would like. Now the condition is going to be false. So kitty cat is not going to equal hungry that looks like this. It now has a space in it, so it'll be false, and it will go to the else statement. So as you can see, it then printed out, your cat is not hungry right now, please feed her later. It's very important not to overfeed our pets, right? Okay. All right, so let's practice a couple of examples. So here is the name example again, but we have written in an else statement if the condition is false. So we have name equals input, what is your name? If name is Stephanie, print hi Stephanie, else print I was expecting someone else. So let's practice that one. So name equals input, what is your name? And we'll do if name double equal sign. I saw somebody put Stella. So we're going to do that. Whoops, I forgot the colon. And then we'll do print hi Stella. Else colon print I was expecting someone else. Okay, so just make sure your code aligns with what's up here, and you can put whatever name you'd like here, and then let's run the code. So hi, what is your name? We'll put Stella, hit enter, and it says hi Stella. Oops, forgot a G there. Now I'll run it again, and I'm going to put in something that's purposely inaccurate. I was expecting someone else. So I put in Shermaine, and it did not match. So you can play around however you would like with that. And all right, well, how do we do that first one? Is everyone caught up? Is everyone doing well? Awesome. Awesome. Okay, now we're gonna do one that's a little bit longer, but don't be afraid or nervous. So in this one, we're gonna create a function that is just a mini game, or just a part of it, what would really be just a mini part of what a game is. So in the program, you're going to ask the user to select one of 4 possible doors. You're going to create a door with the answer, and you'll have them enter their guess, and then we're going to compare. We're going to look at whether the user door matches the reward door. If it matches, they get a congratulatory message. If not, they didn't select the right door. That's too bad. But so this one is this example shows us with a function. So we do the DEF, and then we created a function name. We did the parentheses, sorry about that, and then a colon. And then we printed out a couple of statements to the user so they understand what the game is. There's a prize behind one of 4 doors. Choose one of the following doors, 1, 2, 3, or 4. We set the reward door equal to 2. Can anyone tell me why 2 is in quotes? And while you're thinking, I'll continue. So we said user door equals to input, enter your guess. Yes, great job. Somebody said because it's a string. And that is because when we ask the user to input 1, 2, 3, or 4, when they input a 2, it's going to automatically convert to a string. We don't need the door numbers to do math or anything like that. So we're totally fine just keeping it as a string. And then we're going to do an if statement. We're going to see if the user door is equal to the reward door. If so, we'll print congratulations, you chose the correct door, you win a prize. If not, if this ends up being false and they choose the incorrect door, it'll print out, sorry, you did not select the correct door. All right, and then down here we call our function. So let's start off, we'll type DEF, we'll do door prize, colon, and then just take this part here and just copy it and just remove the underscore game. So this will call the function, but we don't need to practice typing that right at the present moment. So we'll just continue. So under our DEF door prize function, you can also just feel free to copy this part because we work pretty good at this point with our print functions. Just make sure everything aligns in that one indent. And then you're going to do a variable called reward door equal, and then create a string. Just pick any of the 3 doors. And then we're going to also create a variable called user door for their selection. And we'll do an input function. Enter your guess. And then we'll do an if statement. If user door double equal sign reward door colon. Hit enter. Print congratulations. And then we'll do else colon print sorry. Okay. So I'm not writing everything out, and you don't have to write the whole string out. So do a quick spot check to make sure that your code lines up. And then we'll run it, see how we did. Okay, there's a prize behind one of 4 doors. Choose one of the following doors. So I'm going to choose first the door that I know to be correct, because I put it right here. And it says, congratulations. And if you want, you can exit out, try again, put in a door you know to be incorrect, and it says, sorry. So this code seems to work. How is everyone doing with your code? Did everybody get this? Also, as a reminder, if you have a question, please post your question to the Q&A, and Shermaine and Karen will answer that for you. Okay. So did everyone do okay with that one? Are we ready to go forward? Okay, awesome. So as we start to get a little bit more advanced with our code and learn a few additional programming concepts, we will be able to do some other things with this. So like, for example, allowing them to try again, or they can try, you can create a loop, for example, and they could try until they got it correct. So there's other things that we can do with this code later in future sessions after we've learned a little bit more programming. So it can get really fun and interesting. So anyway, let's continue with our if, elif, else statements. So we've already learned about our if statements. They evaluate whether a condition is true or false, executes the code if the condition evaluates to true. If the condition evaluates to false, Python then moves to the first elif condition and evaluates whether this condition is true or false. If true, that code is executed. Otherwise, Python is going to move to the next elif condition or to the else statement, whichever is next. It depends how many elif statements there are. So if all if elif conditions evaluate to false, then Python will execute the else. So We've already learned how we create our if statements with the if keyword. So elif is short for else if. If the elif statement is written with the elif keyword, and again, it's followed by a condition and a colon with the code execution underneath that. And then we also have our else. So here's a basic example of how it would work. So we have our if, we have condition number 1. So Python's going to start here. If condition 1, is that true? If it is, it'll execute this code. If it's false, it's going to move here. Elif condition number 2, is that true or false? If it's true, it'll execute this code. If not, it'll move to the next. So you can have this chunk of code. You can have elif condition number 3, elif condition number 4. You can have several different elif statements with their conditions, depending on what code you're writing. And then if everything ends up at the end being false, the code, Python will end up at your else statement, just like we did before, and it will execute that code. So in our cat is hungry example, so if your cat is hungry, feed her. Elif, your cat is sleepy, give her a comfortable bed. Else, give your cat a hug if you dare. So in that first, so Python will start here. Is your cat hungry? If it's a yes, it's going to execute this code. It will basically just end this whole chunk of code at that point. So if your cat is hungry, feed her. Else, if your cat is sleepy, so if your cat's not hungry, it's going to go here. Is your cat sleepy? If that's true, give her a comfortable bed. And if not, give her a hug if you dare. And I say if you dare because I have one of my cats loves hugs, like loves it. And the other one, it's like the worst thing in the world to her. If I try to give her a hug, she's just like, nope, 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 you can't do this to me. So, so if you know your cat, you know the cat, you can give her a hug if you feel it's safe. So here's the same code written out. We have the kitty cat equals hungry. Your cat is hungry, please feed her. Elif, kitty cat is sleepy. Your cat is sleepy, please give her a comfortable bed. Else, give your cat a hug. So here's that code. You can just hit the run button. And in this one, I set the kitty cat variable to sleepy. You can change that to hungry, or you can change it to something else, and it will respond accordingly. So let's practice a couple of examples. So in this example, we're going to create a program that asks the user to choose a number between 1 and 50. If the user number is less than 1, then we'll print out a statement telling the user that the number is less than 1 and please try again. From there, the code will move to elif user number greater than 50. If that's the case, it'll print this statement, and if both of those conditions end up being false, it will print this last statement here. So let's run that, and let's choose a number between 0 and 50. I'll put in a 0. And it says your number is 0, your number is less than 1, please try again. And then we can do an example that falls within. And it prints out that your number is 48. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a math example. So we'll create a variable user num equals, we'll do int input choose a number between 1 and 50. And then you can see that we decided in this instance to use that int, because we're going to want to evaluate the number in this case. It's not, unlike the door one where it didn't matter whether the numbers didn't matter. We weren't going to do any math with it or anything like that. But in this case, we are going to do some math or some evaluation based on integers. So we need to construct an integer from that input value. And then we don't need to actually print this part. So we'll just do if user num less than 1, colon, print number is less than 1. And we'll do an elif user num, if it's greater than 50, then we'll print your number is greater than 50. We'll do an else, print your number is space, and then we'll do some concatenation. So we have to convert that number back into a string or construct a string from that number value in order to print it. Okay. So someone asked why we used a function in the door example and why we're not using it here. Mostly just for the sake of time, that I wanted to be sure that we practice using the function, at least a couple times during the session, but if we practice it every time, it just adds some time to the session. So you can practice this with the functions if you would like. I was just trying to make sure that I kept this within an hour and a half. So now let's try running our code. So hope that I got it correct here. So we'll do a number and it printed out. And we can test out the code a number of times to see if it works. Your number is less than 0. Okay, good. And then we'll put a number over 50. Your number is greater than 50. So my code worked. Can everyone give me a thumbs up if you're good to go on this one? So to answer your question, yes, if you would like to add in the creating functions and doing that, you can go ahead and do that. Awesome. Excellent work, everyone. All right, so we're going to do one that's kind of fun. So the 2 weeks ago when we had our session, I asked for everyone's favorite foods and a number of people said pizza. So I had to write in a short program for all the pizza fans out there. So I hope some of you have joined and can appreciate this from last session. So in this one, we're going to create a program that asks the user to choose an extra pizza topping. So we're assuming that they've probably already chosen the crust and the sauce and some other parts. And now it's the part of the program where, it's probably one particular function and part of the program where they're choosing a topping. So we're just doing that one part. So we're going to create a variable called pizza topping and do an input function. And here's some available options. And then we do if pizza topping is, you can do artichokes, then you'll print artichokes have been added to your pizza order. I see somebody is a big fan of artichokes here. Yes. And olives. So awesome. Somebody's asking if I can send the pizza. I'm not sure if you're asking if I can send the pizza, but that might be a little bit difficult. So it might not arrive in the case that you want. If you're talking about virtual pizza, we can create that together. So here, and then so anyway, we did an if for the first condition. Is it artichokes? If it's false, it'll just keep going. Elif, is it broccoli? Is it olives? Is it peppers? Is it spinach? If all of these end up being false and somebody inputs something else, then we'll say your topping choice is not on the menu. So we'll do a shortened version of this, and we'll do pizza topping 2. Because several of us love to put multiple toppings on our pizza. So we'll do pizza topping _2 equals input, choose an extra topping. I'm going to copy and paste because I think that's easier. Okay. Now, we'll do an if statement first. If pizza topping 2 equals, do our double equals, artichokes. And I'm not going to write out the whole program. So maybe just pick one topping, whatever it is. It doesn't even have to be on this list. You can change them. One for your if statement, choose one for your elif, and then we'll do an else. So if pizza topping 2 equals artichokes, print artichokes have been added. Elif pizza topping 2 double equal olives, colon, print have been added. And then we'll do an else. Print or topping choice is not on. Okay. How's everyone doing? Did everyone finish writing? Did everyone finish writing their pizza topping program? And are we ready to run and test it out? No problem. I see someone is saying to wait, no worries. We'll take our time here. I know I'm getting kind of hungry too. I need to check my pantry to see if I have artichokes right now. So when you are ready, just give me a thumbs up, either a B or a thumbs up emoji in the chat. Okay, great. Awesome. Okay. Whew. So that was quite a bit of code. So let's try running it and seeing what happens. And we'll test it out by putting something in that we know is here. Okay, artichokes have been added. Let's try running it again. Olives have been added. And I didn't add spinach to my program. So I'm just going to write in spinach, and it says your topping choice is not on the menu. So my code seems to work. Let me know if you ran your code, does it look good? Give me a B in the chat. If you ran your code and there were no errors, great job. Yay. Awesome. Now I did want to say, while everyone's just running their code and testing it out, that you can really use this as a base to, if you wanted to really, extend your coding, you could practice creating some different pieces of code here and some different functions to create like maybe a whole pizza, your sauce, your crust, your different toppings. You could also extend this into, maybe creating like a coffee or tea drink type ordering app or something else. So like if you want to, especially as we start to learn a little bit more code, because I think that like once we know some for while loops, that would be helpful. You can try experimenting maybe by creating just a Python text app that is like an ordering app. So if anybody's looking for a challenge, if anybody does decide to do that and with over the next several weeks, please post in Slack what you created, because we would love to see it. Okay. Now putting it all together. So based on the time, I'm not sure that we really have time to do the code together, but I will just walk through it really quick. So in this one, I created a function and I called it addition quiz. You can see it has our usual function formatting. Created a variable, number 1 equals, set it to an integer. Number 2 variable, set it equal to 20. Then I created another variable called sum, and that is sum equals number 1 plus number 2. So the sum will be whatever is stored here and whatever is stored here. Then we have user number equals integer input. What is the sum of number 1 and number 2? So we're asking the user to tell us to do the math, basically. So it's like, in elementary school math quiz, what is number 1 plus number 2? And they're going to input that number. So we need to convert the number to an integer here so we can do our comparisons. We're going to need to be able to compare the user's number with the sum. So here we have an if statement. And our condition is the user number, the number they have inputted, is that equal to the sum? If yes, we'll tell the user, you are correct and amazing job. Otherwise, we'll do print, excellent try, you're so close. So let's run that. So I'll put in something that's wrong first. What is the sum of 10 plus 20? Excellent try. So we can see that the code here said the user number does not equal the sum. So it goes to the else statement and it prints the statement. And I'll try printing it correctly. You are correct. Amazing job. So I just wanted to, I think it's important to touch on the concept of the Boolean operators. So we just evaluated, user number, is it equal to a sum? We can also use the and or an or operator to evaluate more than one condition in an if statement. We're going to go over an example of that really quickly. So in the below example, note that the variable user number appears in both conditions. So what that means is here we have our if statement, user number less than 1. So this is our first condition. So Python is going to say, okay, is the user number that they just inputted, is that less than 1? And then I put an or in here. Is the user number greater than 50? So when I said note that the variable user number appears in both conditions, if you just forgot and did this, you're going to get an error. So you have to be sure to remember to include that variable name in both of your conditions if you're doing this type of comparison. you might have other variables that you're also evaluating in this. So basically, I wanted to take that same example that we did before, choose a number between 1 and 50, but instead of if the number is less than 1, tell the user it's less than 1, and then have an elif, like if it's greater than 50, then print that it's greater than 50. That wouldn't it be great to just have one evaluation that says if it's less than 1 or if it's greater than 50, if they did not put it in that 1 to 50 range, that it would have them input the number again. So does that make sense to everyone? Could I get a thumbs up? Okay. So we're just going to run this example. Feel free to choose a number. You can try a couple different options again. Your number is not between 1 and 50. Please try again. And again, we're going to get into loops soon. So loops are going to help us. Sorry, in this example, I said, please try again. But in this code, there's nothing that allows the user to try again. So we're going to learn some different things next week that'll help us write even more effective code. So to elaborate on this, I used an or example. You can also do an and example. So for the and operator, both Boolean values must be true for the condition to evaluate to true. So I put a little table here, true and true equals true. All of these are false. And then for the or operator, only one of the Boolean values must be true for the condition to evaluate to true. So for example, if we needed, so instead of this code, if we needed two things to be true, I'm not sure what that would be. So for example, if the cat had to be both sleepy and hungry, and true would evaluate to true, and then some action or some activity would happen. Otherwise, it would be false. Or if we have an or situation, like in this case, if somebody does not put a number between 1 and 50, it's automatically false, because it's false because whether they gave a number that was less than 1 or if they gave a number greater than 50, it's false. So I have a table here as well to help with that. And I also just gave some examples that you could kind of play around with. Or you can put some values in here and see what happens and whatnot. So yeah, so that's Boolean operators. How are we doing with questions? Whew. Wow. Wow, great job, Karen and Shermaine. Wow, lots of questions. Fantastic. All right, so how's everybody feeling about Boolean operators using and or the or operator? Great. Awesome. Awesome. What was everyone's favorite code example this session? Pizza, hugging a cat. I'll leave everyone to use their best judgment whether to hug a cat or not. Okay, wonderful. Well, I have to say, everyone, you did a remarkable job. I am going to, in a moment, I'll stop the share and I'll close out the session, but I'll stick around for another 15 minutes or so and be happy to answer any further questions you have, or we can talk through anything that you would like to talk through in terms of the material that we've covered so far. So up next, I forgot to update this. Oh my goodness. This should say, whoops. This should say session 4. Up next, session 4. So please join us for our next session. It is in 2 weeks on Thursday, August 26th at 8 p.m. Eastern. So same time, just 2 weeks from now. And in the next session, we are going to explore for loops and while loops. If you've never covered this topic before, it is a very interesting one. So please be sure to join us. Please also join us on Slack. Arsha, if you could post that link for us again in the chat. Be sure to join our beginner Python study group Slack channel between sessions. I'm around to help answer questions or direct you. If you need some further information on something, please reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out. Karen, I do see your note. So yes, I will pause for that. And I just wanted to say, everyone, before we launch into allowing Karen to share what she would like to share. Excellent work today, everyone. Great job. I hope you had a lot of fun. And remember to keep practicing. Go through these examples on your time and practice these examples. Try to be creative and think of like, what are some other things I can do with the same code, the same concept. And if you come up with something really cool and creative, I would love to see it on the Slack channel. So please post it, tag me. I would love to have a look at that. So without further ado, before I stop the share, I'm going to allow Karen to jump in and explain that concept that she would like to explain. So take it away, Karen.
Thanks, Stephanie. So sorry, I just want to, we actually, a couple of you asked about the name equal to main part. We actually briefly explained it on the previous webinar, but we didn't record it, I believe. So just to very quick summarization, what it is, it's basically okay, first of all, it will work. It will make no difference on the collab, notebook that you guys are working on, but it's a good practice to include this, because when you run the exact same script in the local environment, like in your own actual computer, it's actually it would make a difference. For example, if you type, like, if you name this as like session3.py, so if you execute the script by Python session3.py, it will run the function. But if the script, it actually, if your session3.py script is linked, like it's like a subscript from another main function, another, like maybe like, oh, women who code.py. If you want the women who code.py, but then like you have some function that is inside what you have on the session3.py, that the code, the addition quest, the function will not work. It might be very confusing for all of you right now, which is completely understandable. So I would say the best practice is to just get used to it, like get the practice of like writing this now, so that later in the future, and like when you write multiple scripts, like, and you have to combine a couple Python scripts at once, it will show the difference. Thanks, Stephanie.
Absolutely. Thank you, Karen, so much for that explanation. If anybody has any further questions about that or anything else, I will be sticking around for another 10-15 minutes or so. So I will be stopping the recording in a moment. So again, thank you all so much for joining us today. Amazing work, and keep practicing, keep practicing, keep practicing. And I really appreciate all the hard work everyone is putting in. So thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.